Hello YouTubers, thank you for joining in part 6 Microsoft Intune training series. We have been continuing total 7 parts of this Microsoft Intune training series, and this is the part number 6. Once again, thank you for joining, and if you're first time visiting, please do subscribe and like and post your questions within the comment section. That being said, let's talk about the
try to review what we have discussed so far. We talked about Windows. Within the Windows, we have not done the autopilot. I just realized. Okay, and also iOS we have done. iOS we have done. Android we have done, but not for the Mac. Mac also remains the same for installing the company portal application. We need to definitely have these Mgmt certificate. All of should be there. So once we have configured for iOS, it works even for the Mac OS also, right? So you don't need to do anything extra here for the enrollment. Okay, so only thing is the next step would be we'll simply go to the this web page. Okay, so if you can just go to this web page, Microsoft Documents. So within this document, how to enroll your device in Intune Mac OS. So here you have a company application can be downloaded. Go to enroll my Mac. If you just search with this also, it comes as a PKG format because in Linux or here you would have definitely PKG format. So that PKG format, once you download it, you start installing it. Okay, as a normal application as a Mac user. So you can do that and then enter your local account because it's a bring your own device concept, right? So you have to enter the local root password. Once given that, the package is ready. It got installed. Okay, so the installation is straightforward. If you're the Mac user, you know how to download and install. So is the same steps that for any application. Post to that, when we start the application, so if you see here under applications, we have a company portal application. So it will ask for me to log into my company portal. So I would definitely use my user credentials in this case for my end user point of view. So for me, my end user is here, Paddy at whatever my uh, account. So I would give that account user ID and the password. And you can accept the terms and conditions if you are the first time. And then just say begin. So it's going to do this step. So if you can recall, this is the same case for our iOS or Google devices, right? Same thing here also. You're going to get it, what your company as an Intune admin can view, what cannot. This is a very clear statement. Post to that, it's going to actually install the management profile, very similar to what we have done in the iOS iPhone devices, same thing. So let me go to this page. So it's gonna register this profile. So now again it's downloading a PIM format kind of format file. So basically it's like a file that consists of some of the security, like the certificates, all of that. So we would be installing. If you remember, we also have done the same thing for iOS device, right? Uh, on iPhone, same thing here also. It comes that, so we just have to download and then install this certificate and enter your root credentials. Once you have done that, so once we have done that, it actually goes to the third step, which is the device policy settings. Okay, so this is how you can actually install on your device. You can do the rename, whatever you wanted to do it here. All that is possible. Okay, so so the by platform we are good actually. So you can either now go and work direct by platform or directly also. Now you should be good. Here few components will be there. So let's say this is a device. could be any device, as a Windows or Android or iOS device. We'll take one scenario and we'll try to do. The settings remain same, my friends. Settings remain same. Okay, configuration also remains same almost. Okay, we can test on one of the platform. So let's say you have a device, and within this device, some of the applications we are pushing from Intune. That application, we call it as a managed application. Maybe some applications installed by end user, we always call it as a personal application, like a Facebook or Netflix in this case. So now what you can do is this app protection actually concerns about data security. So when you're talking about the data security between your managed applications to personal applications, you should be actually using the app protection policies. So within this, what happens is uh, you can say this data shouldn't go to maybe the device, not to take a backup kind of thing. So we can say there are DLP. So there's some conditions, like you all know, I think data loss prevention, right? DLP. So DLP settings can be applied here. Part of a few settings that are coming from DLP can be applied. Apart from that, security point of view also you can do. So one thing is the data security we talked about, and also application layer specific settings also we can do. Let's say this application, if somebody is trying to open or somebody is trying to crack it with a wrong pins or wrong passcodes, we can act we can do some kind of actions on that. Like you try to explain as a conditional, right? So one other condition could be like if a user is trying to enter 5 times wrong password, wipe the application. Okay, you can do that kind of conditions can be applied. So these things, and there are some other conditions also there. We're gonna have a look on it, but just to give you that, there is something called the DLP. There's some kind of security is there. The other part would be the setting up additional layer of passcode. Let's say a additional pin is needed. Than the We all know that app locker, right, on our phones, Android phones, we use some for confidential things. We try to put some extra passcode, not your logon passcode, right? Similar thing can be applied for your uh, applications. So, and also you have an ability to wipe up the only applications during the time. Everything can be removed from the DLP. Other thing is, like as you said, copy paste can be blocked. So copy paste again here, between you're talking about all the conditions. One side is managed, other side is personal, right? You want to block from here to here or here to here or both the ways. You can do all these conditions also can be copy paste can be blocked. So this is the a kind of settings can be applied. So for this, you can't directly go and hit the ball. You have to come on. I have erased it. It's not going. Once again. Oh, okay. So you have to actually configure these policies, my friends, and then test it. If this is thoroughly working fine, then go for the protection. These things are a little tricky, and a little uh, testing is needed. Not little, actually, you have to do proper from applications, app protection policies. See, I'm going to create maybe just a 2021 example. Just I'm trying to create a policy for iOS devices. So you have an option when you're trying to create, actually, you will have an option to create for iOS, Android, or Windows 10. So in our case, we will be just checking for iOS specific. Okay, and then there are three or four things you can see. This is actually talking about what are the applications we are talking about, and then DLP settings comes here, and how you're accessing. Let's say if you're trying to access, you must have to meet to set a pin or passcode kind of things can be configured here. The conditions, like if a wrong attempts, what should be done. such actions can be done. This is for assigning to a group. Let's go to understand about the application. So this is where you can actually uh, configure is this for all the type of devices or a device that is not managed. You just said that, not enrolled devices. If that's the case, you would be, choosing this. Okay, but in our case, we can, even go for all type of devices with a single policy. Okay, so here you also have the public apps and custom apps. So the difference between these two are uh, public apps are already available within the inventory or within the Microsoft site. Okay, here you need to just specify those applications, the exact name of those application. So in our case, we have tested within our lab Outlook and Teams, right? So we can just press type here Microsoft. One is the Outlook application we tested, and also we tested Teams also. So these things, we can select these applications, and then in the data protection, this needs some kind of explanation from my end. So I'm going to explain one by one. The first point here, data transfer. So if you just look at the headlines here or subsections, this is a major section called data transfer. Other one would be the I would consider these are separate settings, and also, yeah, I think a few things under data transfer. Backup organization data means, like, you have maybe a Google phone example, or maybe iOS device. In this case, it is iOS. So everything gets backed up normally iOS devices to iTunes or iCloud, we call it. So meaning, including the application settings, everything data can be backed up. Let's say if a user is there, he left the company, he can restore the data from his iCloud after we wipe up that specific configuration. So there is a chance of possibility that he can restore and he can get that data back, right? So as part of your designing, as part of your configuration policy, you can always say, you can block that data not to go to your user's backup server. In that case, maybe a Google Drive, or to maybe iTunes or iCloud. So in our case, we don't want to backup, let the user to backup the entire phone, but not these specific applications that are here. Okay, that's a policy. So now, other policies would be, definitely we can also configure the is this applications. So whatever we are talking about, this applications, okay, is what kind of applications we're talking about. We are talking about the applications policy managed, meaning the applications within this policy, okay, we're gonna apply additional settings also. Let's say you want to know addition this is the additional thing, like, uh, I don't want my applications that are specified here not to save uh, in maybe in a local storage. They don't want to store any kind of data to the local devices, but they can store the application specific settings in my OneDrive or SharePoint, which is a secure configuration. You can do that. Okay, now the transfer for the telecommunication, like, right, some applications needs to access even your dialer information also. If that's the case, do you want to block it, or do you want to do what kind of a configuration? So in our case, don't transfer this data between applications. We can take it so that this gets dialer app scheme, everything gets disabled. And here, restricting the copy cut paste information can be done within, as I said earlier, like a policy managed to any application, or uh, it can be just to happen between the applications. So we can configure policy copy paste can only work within our Outlook or Teams, not to personal applications. So like we said here, somewhere here, so managed application too, you cannot copy paste to personal application. Similarly, from here to here, data shouldn't come. So we are talking about only managed applications. Okay, so that's where the configuration can be applied. Okay, and then we can go to the third-party keyboards. If you want to block it, you can block that, because sometimes the your managed applications also uh, needs to trusted keyboard should be used, not somebody's keyboard, because the keystrokes also confidential information will send it to the uh, to the application developer, right? So we can block it, but if you do that, actually you need to send a keyboard application already should be configured. Additional keyboard configuration should be deployed from our end. And encryption settings, uh, definitely the entire application should be encrypted. And functionality, these are the normal things we would configure here, like syncing the policy within the native apps. Okay, printing within the organization data, you can allow or block it. So if you see here, if blocked, app cannot print protected data. So you can block the printer, specific settings. And also you can configure here the restricting web transfer, in case if you are trusting only Microsoft Edge browser, just the web content only should be browsed within the Microsoft Edge browser. You can configure that. And here, this is a managed browser protocol. That's okay. Organization data notifications can be allowed. The specific setting can be allowed. So these are comes under data loss prevention. So you're actually trying to protect the applications that we are talking about managed here, selected applications, so the data doesn't go out like a copy paste or saving restrictions we are trying to apply. Now, the next section would be the access requirement. Hey, if we are talking about the application, within this application, let's say if I try to open maybe Outlook here, it just opens up a little. If you can remember, it was just opening up. What we wanted is we don't want that to open. Instead, it should actually set a password. That's what we wanted. Then in that case, we would go into uh, this configuration access requirement. We can say pin for accessing the application. So it needs a additional pin, and the passcode for that pin should be numeric or alpha passcode. You can configure. It's a simple pin allow, or you can block. Like a simple pin is like 1 2 3 4 kind of thing. The easily guessable pins can be blocked if you want, but in our case I'm just allowing. uh, and also you can configure the length of the pin, maybe anywhere from 4 to 16. So in my case I'm just choosing 4 for this demo. And also you can block the touch ID specific requirement. So I can say simply I don't want to allow to launch this application with the touch ID. I can do that configuration also. And the pin, yes, pin can be set it here. Number of days if you want. An app pin, when device pin is set to be required. All these are the common things. These are the related to the access requirement. Now launching is like, if maximum pin items 5 times, what should we do? He has to reset the pin, or grace period of maybe 72 minutes. You can block this application. And offline, again, grace period for 90, wipe the data. Meaning if the user is not opening the application or not interacting with the application, you can secure in such a way with these conditions. Okay, these are the settings that are critical for the policy. Now later point you can apply for a required group. So let's say if there's a user group, you can apply. Let me create a group. Okay. Just creating one dummy user. I think it should be Logan or someone can be taken here. I can select that just created group. Okay, one more. It's still not coming up. Yeah. Now it's just refreshed. This policy is ready for us. So if I just click on create, it's gonna apply the policy. So I'll just click on this. The policy is iOS 2021. Before I click on OK, I need to make the machine ready, the device, to demonstrate this. For that, I need to log into GoToMeeting. Give me a second, because the policy will automatically come up and then we will not see all the activities. This is done. Now, okay, I'm just clicking on create button before I think, yeah, create. So this is the user. Okay, this is the user, right? So I'll just say, I'll try to show you here, user account. This is the device. I'll say click on, I think there is a delay. So let me refreshing the here the device. Okay, settings. So now if you see here, we have here Teams and Outlook. So now after a few more minutes, we will be getting the policy, and then it will start asking to set the passcode as a first step, and then once the policies arrived, we cannot copy paste data from our emails to maybe, for example, to the notes or maybe other browser or somewhere. We cannot copy paste the data, but however we can copy paste the data between Outlook to Teams. This can be done. Okay, so this might take some time. Okay, if you're okay, we can wait. Otherwise, maybe no, we can continue with other topic and we can come back here when it is ready. Okay, my friends. So let me explain here. I have my on-premises environment and I have a domain name called mylab.local. Okay, it seems to be I have one client machine and one SCCM server, but it is in, I think it is in online mode, but ignore that system for now. So I also have another machine called NH2 2K9. It's a member server, which we can see here. This is the machine. So let me type here hostname also. So this is a plain Windows server, which is a part of your domain. So it is logged into your domain controller. So there's a domain controller called nhyd-dc01, and within this domain, the domain name is mylab.local. So I'll show you the domain structure, OU structure. So I have here my domain controller, which has this normal OU structure. Clear? Now, think that I have a couple of users. So let's create one user. Maybe if you see here, I have a SCCM admin also. This user also there, so he can log in with the SCCM admin at mylab.local.com. It's a normal user. He has a full permissions on the SCCM server also. Now, Now the thing is, like, we wanted our Active Directory to take it to the hybrid AD. So what exactly hybrid AD? Hybrid AD stands here uh, within your Active Directory, which is portal.su.com. Okay, within this Active Directory, you see we have a tenant domain, which is original name of our tenant is Intune demo 1234.onmicrosoft.com. Now what we have done, we map to learninmylab.com. Let's say whatever we are trying to learn now, or the concepts not related to or not performed by Intune admin or SCCM admin, it will be done by your Active Directory admins. Okay, I'm already putting my expectations that uh, this is not, may not be your part of show, but good to know, right? So that you can practice in your lab environment. Is that okay? Yeah, we are trying to learn here hybrid AD. So what is hybrid AD? Let's say you have your on-premises domain controller called mylab.local. What you'll do, you would actually configure here some users or some machines. So these machines are joined to this domain and the users are able to log into this domain. Working good. But let's say you wanted the users to get the power of the cloud. So for accepting the whatever the cloud protocols or cloud applications, then you have a tool to integrate the accounts between here to here, not not in a reverse way. Okay, not this to here, not like that actually. Okay, the right way would be from the blue color, from the my lab to here. So let's say if you have here 100 users, this 100 users will be using the same user ID and the password to access anything, and the user accounts also you would see under devices or users you would actually see the users computers. Okay, users you would be able to see. So what happens is with that you can grant the permissions within your environment. So it's like one identity. How to do that is you need to use a tool called AD Connect. Okay, AD Connect. So what it does, this tool is it actually makes the whatever the configuration to be done from here to here in the backend, it will do that configuration. It's very simple. Actually, it will ask for the user ID, password of here and here. So from here, it is needed the enterprise admin credentials. It needs from here global admin. Okay, so enterprise admin and global admin credentials once you have given. So this tool will import this entire information will be set as an export and it will send it to this server with the connection tool. AD Connect, we call it, that's a tool name. So for that we can configure the configuration. So within this tool also it does the some additional configurations also you can do, like single sign-on you can configure. So these things can be done. Also you can I mean, this is one option I told. Other option can be done the hybrid AD. So what is a hybrid AD is? Hybrid AD means this device, let's say in the on-premises, one Windows 10 machine is there. This machine was joined to this domain currently, to this mylab.local domain. The same device also can join to Azure AD to here also. So what happens by joining this device to Azure AD, what will happen? Ideally, if you want from an Intune point of view, yeah, if the device is joined, you can actually enroll automatically the device, and then you can manage the things, right? Definitely. And the device, like you can push the softwares, all of that stuff can be done. Okay. So now what is there in our lab? In our lab, we have this tenant and we have a verified domain name. Now you should have a genuine question that in my on-premises I have shown as my lab.local as the domain name. So if my user is there, user1 at the rate mylab.local will be there. How this user can log in as user1 at the rate whatever the verified name, because once the syncing happens, so the user accounts will come to Azure AD. Once it comes to Azure AD, the username should be username user1 in this case at the rate leninmylab.com should be used, right? How you can do this? So you can do this step by configuring a UPN domain name on your on-premises domain controller. Meaning you can give this name on your domain controller. There's an option called UPN, user principal name. So you can give that UPN name of the domain so that the user can log in within your on-premises with mylab.local, or he can log in with given UPN name. Then the users can log in with a normal way. From a user point of view, there's no major change because the username and password, whatever he's using from on premises, is valid even in cloud also, in Azure AD identity also. So for a user point of view, we are not actually making any changes. We are not forcing any user to use a different username or different password. So we are making user happy another way. Okay, so now for that, what I've done is I have already created domain controller here, and I have couple of users. Okay, let's say there's a user called SSM admin in this case, and also I have a computer called member server. Okay, now how can I configure this steps as the AD guy? Okay, I'm talking about from a completely Azure AD guy point of view. So a few things here, high level. So if you want to do this configuration, you can do it directly um, from the AD Connect. This is the Azure AD Connect window. So within this blade, you have the configuration is available. It will clearly show that whether the sync is happening. Sync has never done. So whatever the uh, you know uh, authentication or password synchronization or pass-through authentication methods that you have, we call PTA or PHS. So these things are disabled state now. Okay, so to begin with this, first thing, the AD Connect tool to be installed, and that should be configured with your on-premises Active Directory credentials as well as with the global admin credentials, and then start the syncing process. But that also has some pre-requirements. So if you look at hybrid AD, okay, uh, requirements, yeah. So it also needs the some other licensing also needed, like at least you need to have the P1 license for proper hybrid AD. Okay, but for AD Connect, in your case, you can do in a normal way. But let's say you said that you don't have the domain name, right? So still you can sync the objects from your on-premises to cloud in your lab. There's no problem. But what I'm trying to show you is here a real use cases. Okay, the first thing we would go with the configuration. So you need to have any of these server level. Okay, and AD Connect can be installed on any of the member servers. So few people also install a domain controller, but since we in a lab we have some bandwidth, that's why we're going to install on a member server. So let me actually start the configuration. For that, there are a few requirements. As I said earlier, we need to we need to add the UPN name, right? So let's add that in our domain. So let's do it on this machine, and we'll just take out this machine. No worries. So let's do it on a domain control. You can do that. Just go to trust. Okay. So open up your Active Directory domains in trust. Here you have an option to add the prefix. Let's say my prefix is len in my. So if I give capital, it will come as it is. What was there exactly? If I do something wrong again, it costs me later. My domain names. So simply I'm giving the same name. Now if I go back to my users within this, now I'll have an option in the account now as a len in my lab also. So you have different scripts where in a production we would be changing for whatever the users you have. You want to sync it, you can change them to configure as a leninmylab.com. You have multiple PowerShell scripts, multiple scripts are available, you can use it. So in my case, I can actually configure this account to be sync to cloud leninmylab.com. Okay, now I'm not syncing other accounts, so whatever the accounts are with that UPN name, it can sync. Now next thing to install, right? So let's open a browser, and you can download directly from a Google AD Connect tool, or you can go to a page within this AD Connect. You have an option to download this. So I'll simply copy the link, and I'm downloading on this machine locally. Okay, so it's close to 100 MB, I think so, this file. Yeah, it's downloaded. It's a straightforward installation. So the installation it does automatic installation. You don't need to do anything, but post installation, it will come up with a wizard. So this wizard is actually coming from here. So if you see here, what got installed is, it got installed AD Connect tool, right? So you simply have to click on this or the shortcut that is available on the desktop. So you can accept the terms and conditions. And now you need to select either custom or express. So if you choose this express, what happens is this tools also require the database, which is going to install as the express edition. In fact, in production also, people are okay to use the express edition. The reason is this tool is highly up to if I correctly remember, up to 5 lakh user objects. With the normal SQL also it can work. Okay, but if at all if you want to customize it, you can always go to the customization. But I'm not going to do any additional customization. It is going to do the normal configuration with the pass through authentication, I think. Yeah, just say configure. Now it is asking two things. As I said earlier, first it is asking for your Azure AD and then local AD. So now I need to give here the credentials that I need to integrate to what tenant. So give me a second, my friends. Okay, so I'll try to give here as the AC admin password. If this password correct, it will accept. Otherwise, I have to enter one more time. The password should be different password, simple password I'm putting, and it will verify the credentials that are coming from global admin. Okay, now it is asking me to enter the local domain controllers enterprise admin. So in my case, my domain is mylab.local. Okay, I'm just giving as it is. So this is the account who is the part of your enterprise admin. Okay, so simply click on next. Now it will check for the configuration in both the end. Now it says that, hey, in your on-premises Active Directory, you have a verified domain, which is this leninmylab.com with your Azure Active Directory, which is almost UPN is matching. So are you okay to continue? Yes. So continue. Or the other one can be ignored, but whatever the identities are there, that can be taken up. Now it's gonna do all of these things like installing the engine for synchronization and configuring with your current configuration, default configuration, or with the AD Connect tool, and it's going to connect. Even it's going to enable password hash synchronization, auto upgrade. All these configurations will be installed automatically. So install. So this takes, if you can see here, this doesn't take more than 5 minutes max. So you can see that SQL Express Edition got installed. So a few things going to happen automatically. Yeah, this is the one time it will be done by Azure AD, guys. In case if you have already Office 365 and people are using your on-premises Active Directory user account, then it's already done. Azure AD, right? That's what I said. Now, whatever you create a new account based on the sync interval, it's gonna automatically update it to Azure AD also with this single tool. Meaning, let's say you have like a company called Satyam, or maybe a company called maybe Tech Mahindra, example, multiple forest with the child domains, all of that can be completely synced to single tenant with a single AD Connect tool also. You can do. The only problem is you don't have the like a high availability kind of thing. You don't have, but you have something called staging configuration within this. So you can use the staging configuration to make sure that if this server goes down, you can actually bring another server in place immediately with the current configuration. So it will be in a ready state almost. So in the backend, it actually creates these groups. If you see here, this is the account it has used to connect for the syncing purpose. These groups got created. It just giving me some information like, I need to enable recycle and all of that. That's okay. I can do. Yeah. So what we have done so far, let's actually revise. Okay. We install the AD Connect tool on any of the server can be installed, but we just install on the sorry, this is domain control, right? So on a domain control, we install this tool. It can be installed anyway. So during the installation, it will ask definitely for the SQL and all of that stuff. And for AD Connect, so in the for the users, we would actually configure leninmylab.com should be given, meaning the actual Azure AD verified domain name should be given. How can you give? You can give with the by opening the Active Directory domains in trust. Just go here, from here, go here, and then add. Okay, so by doing this, what happened? The user properties you're getting UPN name. So any user that you create here will automatically sync with the help of AD Connect tool to Azure Cloud. Let's go back here. I think this is the one, right? We just used demo Logitech one. So I'll just refresh this. Okay, you see here now CCM admin is coming, and it is coming as the user account with the leninmylab.com. And if you see here, directly synchronization is yes. Okay, same thing. If I just go to my groups also should come with the directly source as the Windows Server AD. So these are the AD groups that are created as part of the sync, and like a DNS admin, DNS update proxy. These groups are coming from your on premises, but you don't get any devices, my friend. Honestly, you see here, you had earlier we were talking about in India we have 2 devices, 1 computer here. So total 3 computers at least should show, right? Which you don't get it here. Oh, still loading. You see here, oh, there's an applications we were into the Active Directory devices. This is taking time. It's taking some time, web page, but we'll come back and see. It won't come up any devices here. Okay. So how can we ensure that the devices are should be automatically joined? So that's a topic which we are going to learn. So what we have done so far is we just sync up, only done, right? So let's say I wanted to create one more account, maybe uh, of course, if you take it the custom settings, you can explicitly point to sync only this India OU instead of all of them. And also during this, within the nested OU structure, you also have a additional layer of filtering options also will be there. Okay, in fact you can configure now also, if you just go with this configuration, which we will be doing it anyway, but just wanted to show here some other things also within this. Let's create a user account first. Okay, called user one. So from here on, we would be using only learninmylab.com. Even for the sign in also, we'll tell end users to use this way so that the required configuration can be applied. So now I created this user account. Do you think this account will be available on immediately here? What happened? Is my net issues, or yeah, you don't have your account, right? You see here, the user one is not there. How? Because it has its own interval time. I think it's somewhere 20 minutes or something like that. So it does within that period, within that time window. If you want to force it, you have an option with the PowerShell commands. You can use the PowerShell, switch to PowerShell window, and then I think you can use the start command with the AD sync, one more time sync cycle. There's a 2 syncs in between, and then the policy type is delta, not the full. So it actually, oh, what happened? Yeah, because this is not yet imported, so you need to actually do the import also first, AD connect specific, then it would do. But ideally it should come automatically. If it is not coming, meaning might have to use the proper PowerShell. That's it. Okay, so here I can actually go to, where is this power? I can import AD-sync module, and then I can force this command, again the same command, to automatically sync up. This would start syncing. You can see. So how do you locate from the window? This is not the part of the course, but just sure, these are the synchronization rules will be there. This is a synchronization service. So just open up this. You'll come to know, first come back to the connectors. This makes easy for you. I cannot, maximize other than this size. So you can see here a connector was configured for your on-premises as well as for cloud, right? These are the connectors one by one, right? If you want to do any kind of, modifications, you can always do from the properties. Okay, and what is the account which was used and the password it's showing here. Okay, so once this is done, come back to the operations. So operations will be always showing. If you just go to your production also, you'll always see here with the time time it was started. Based on that, you can filter and see that this is 1044, 1052 we wanted. So here we just started one sync, delta sync, and you see here one attribute is SCCM which was synced up, right? There's only one account it was found. Like this, you can see the status, and you have something called meta serve set. So you can set, why it is happening, what is inside component, all of that. But nothing to do here. So we'll just go to this main tool. Okay, you can again click on this to reconfigure any additional settings. Okay, so now what is that we are going to configure? Let's say I wanted to view what is my current configuration. I can always go back and look at here the current configuration. Okay, you can also export the settings. So if you can look at here the device write back, which is a password reset. If I set it here the password, or on a cloud, it will be one and the same password. So you don't need to change. So that option is not coming up here, and the password hash is enabled. Like this, all the configuration which is showing here. Can anybody point out here hybrid AD specific? What is that? The configurations. Yeah, okay, this is the current configuration. Let's go back and configure the additional configuration. Now we are in a phase 2, I would say, within the AD Connect. The first phase, what we have done is, color please, the first phase we installed AD Connect. Okay, so we got all the objects. Of course, I didn't show you that after the sync, right? So let me do a quick refresh. I should be able to see here user 1, right? But for this user 1, you don't have the license was not assigned. Definitely the user's location was not assigned. All of that stuff you should be definitely doing it from your point of view. Okay, so I'm just saving, also assigning the required licenses. Let's say I want to assign Intune as well as the Office license. Let's say I can assign the same thing for my SCCM admin also. Let me assign one time. Okay, licensing assigned. So the first phase, what we are talking is, we are talking about the synchronization point. Okay, now why we are talking about the second phase as a different, or step 2, you call it whatever it is. So in this step, we're actually asking our devices to join to, not just to the Active Directory, also to your Azure AD. So this is the second step. So this is even for your existing devices. Also, if a device is just trying to join to the domain, automatically that will join to Azure AD also. This is what we are trying to do. Okay, so you know that what happens if we join automatically a device to Azure AD. It's nothing but in the backend, Endpoint Manager gets enrolled, and the device gets the required applications. All of that stuff will come. Clear? Okay, so now I'll be going back to my domain controller and opening the AD Connect tool. Let me show you one more time. So here, configure, we're saying that the configuration is one is the configure device options. Okay, so just click on that. So now you have two options. One is device write back, other one is a hybrid AD join. So hybrid AD stands for, as I said earlier, for your on-premises AD as well as to Azure AD. Both the places it should join automatically. So if you recall the Windows enrollment, how we have done, we went to the every user machine, we manually added the user account and password, which we don't want to do it now, because in your on-premises you might have thousands of machines which should automatically add to Azure AD, Azure AD to join, and also that should be automatically managed with the endpoint manager. Okay, that's what we wanted to do it. So for that, this is a step which we have to do. Okay, you also have within this option, you also have the write back. So if you can, read, um, this is for the using the ADFS for Hello for Windows, the device write back English. All the device register in your Azure AD back to on premises. The device is synchronized to the device container that's created into Azure AD for this. So we can, if you want, we can enable the write back this option also. Otherwise, we'll just go with this. But anyway, in this phase, you will have only one radio button, either this or this. Okay, so I will be using the hybrid. Definitely, we will be just asking for our admin to configure hybrid. Give me a second. Password. I really forgot the password. This is easy admin. Yeah. Now this is the password which I'm again giving. So whenever you go with again AD Connect, it always asks for the passwords in the both the side almost. If you're something to do with the on-premises, it will ask. Otherwise, that the password should be the enterprise admin again. Otherwise, the global admin. So you have here option configure hybrid AD join. So if I just click on next, and I have an option to configure Windows 10 devices. And now it's going to ask for me, what is that domain that you have on premises? I found mylab.local, which is going to sync for Azure AD. Now I need to give it to enterprise admin credentials. So if I give here my credentials, what is happening is this could be even an interview question also um, for AD guys. This is uh, there is a service connection point. In short, the people will call as SCP. SCP gets created basically to basically it will discover your Azure AD tenant information. For that purpose, you're going to create this. So let's actually continue further so that it will configure hybrid AD for you. Okay, so one step is the step one, what we have done is AD install. Okay, configure. Step one is AD connect tool. Okay, second step is we configured hybrid AD. Okay, let's say in your company you also want to use SSO, single sign-on, for your on-premises users. Let's say if my on-premises users opens maybe portal.office.com, it shouldn't ask any password. Maybe any application, cloud application, it shouldn't ask again one more time the password. That's where this single sign-on will come up. So if you're interested, I can also run with that. Okay, so let me, I think once we have done, it is actually starts the sync in the backend. So if I try to, do the AD connect, it will say it's already in the synchronization phase. So in this case, it's just completed the synchronization. So during this wizard, it will stop the synchronization. Okay, so configure. SSO, I'm trying to configure third step. If I correctly remember, this is a change user sign-in option. This is where you have the option. You have an option here. If you want to change to uh, password authentication or PTH, you can do this configuration. Okay, I'm also enabling the 1 second. So you can use any of these authentication methods. So I'm just going with the 1 second in the Azure AD Connect. It will show now the sync status is already enabled. Password hashing is enabled, but it is not enabled the PTA. If you want to change to PTA, so there is an agent gets installed in the backend. Okay, that's called the PTA. So where is that? Yeah, you can go to the PTA authentication, and then we can configure that. Okay, it's gonna ask for my global admin. Okay, this is a very complex one. It needs a lot of design consideration when you're trying to do. Okay, configure. It's not your job. This is AD guy's job. If you go to any company, by that time already this configuration will be there. In case if they never exposed to Office 365, you're fortunate enough to implement these all steps. We're just trying to use the PTA, pass-through authentication. There's a difference between the password hash synchronization, meaning it actually generates an hash. It never syncs the password. So if the hash value is matches, it's good enough to allow you to log in. So let's exit this on a domain controller. This is not just a configuration. You also needs to create some of the group policies for allowing the SSO. For that, you can just create specific group policy. So you have here few of the URLs. If you just go to the documentation, they would prefer you to set few URLs. So we are in the templates, Windows components, and the Internet Explorer, and then the control panel and the security page with the site to zone. So which we configure for trusted sites and the intranet sites. So trusted site zone we need to configure, or intranet. So yeah, we need to configure as an intranet. So for that, there are few URLs are available uh, that are can use. So just have to configure these values here with the value as 1. Okay, once we have done, we're closed. So how do we convert these machines automatically to Intune? So what we are trying to do is, again, I'll try to explain. So we have a Windows 10 machine example, and this is already joined to a domain controller. A username called user1 is trying to access this machine. Okay, it's going good, but now we in between we have connected AD Connect and synced all the identities. When I say identities, like the user account to Azure AAD. Fine. And now what we wanted is this machine automatically should join to Azure AD also. To do this, what we have to do, we have to configure our AD Connect with hybrid AD radio button. If you remember a couple of minutes back, we have done that. with a radio button by choosing the hybrid AD option. After that, within the hybrid AD, we need to allow two URL, at least one URL for the there's a device login, device login.Microsoft online.com for hybrid AD specific, I think. Other one for the SSO specific should be at least to be configured. Okay, once we have done this, the machines can be joined to Azure AD automatically. You don't need to do any additional step. As a SCCM admin, as a Intune admin, you will always ask, is this working fine or not? If not, you can escalate to your internal AD team. Okay, if this is not working, their headache, not our headache, but this is their headache. But again, we need to know what to be done. So we have shown how to do this. So this is how the AD guys will be performing. Now from a SCCM point of view, what is the next action? That is, the machine, if it is joined to here automatically to Azure AD, we have to join this machine to Endpoint Manager Admin Center, right? So how do we do that? It's a question. So for that, you would actually request your AD team to set a group policy to join automatically to this machine, whatever this machine is there. This is automatically joined not only to here, to Intune also. Okay, for that there is a special group policy setting should be configured. So I'm going to show you that group policy setting. Okay, so from our point of view, what could be the step is we would request AD team to show or configure a group policy under MDM. Okay, and if you know that this is actually a default installation which I have done on my test machine, so I will not have the latest ADMX templates, but I will try to show you. Then we will replace the ADMX template. I'm going to show you now the ADMX what it is. But for now, if you see here, enable automatic MDM enrollment using default default Azure AD credentials. So if I just choose yes, okay, it should come here a radio button with a device credentials or a user credentials option. For your information, my friends, Intune is not supported at this point of time to join to MDM with the device credentials. It will only supported with the user credentials. So this policy is not going to work on anywhere on 1809 and above. So definitely what I have to do, I have to use the latest template. So if you just look at here, if I choose a radio button, there's nothing coming as a drop down with the users or the machine specific. So what I'll do is I'll just close this. Okay, I'll download latest download Windows 10 ADMX. Okay, Windows 10 ADMX files. These are available from Microsoft site only. So our AD guys, they always keep on updating the latest ADMS templates so that they can get the benefit out of it to use the latest one. So I really don't know what is this version. So let's see what is the version we are referring. We don't want this much. We wanted the latest one. So I'll say 20. Yeah. So this is the latest one. I'll be downloading. So this is a straightforward file, which is MSI file. So what our AD guys does is basically they would go to a folder, under policies we will actually create a folder called policy definitions, and then we would keep the latest definition file. So it just got installed to a folder called this folder inside in a program files. So what I'll be doing is I'll just copy this file. You don't need to actually copy the entire thing. The MDM specific with only English language can be copied, but I'm just trying to take it as it is. Since it is a test, okay, so I'll just go to this folder and replace it. So if I just open up again this one, once this copying is done, yeah, it's over copying. If I just open up and go to MDM, so now enable, now I'll have the option here. This is again new with the 21H1, which even I haven't seen this. MDM application ID represents the ID. So device credentials also they're coming up. I didn't see this. So this was not there with the 21 H1 before versions. So with the release of May version, you have this. With the 20H, you don't have this option. Also, they're gonna change with the device credentials because you would actually literally you would end up. What happens is, my friend, to be frank with you, if you have a Windows 10 device to automatic enroll to Intune, it always try first with the system account. The system account is the first thing. So since system account and also you also have the AD user account, it will get the conflict and it will throw an error called 76 event ID in your MDM diagnostics logs. And that says that it's I tried with system account, I failed. That kind of errors you would be getting up. I think we may also get it. After that, automatically it will fix on itself when it tries with the user account. Okay, so we'll just choose a user, and this setting is optional as per them, so I'm not going to configure anything. Now we have done the this configuration also. Now let's target this to group policy to the only, of course, in a production you will be doing to a test OU only, but in my case I'm configuring to everywhere hybrid AD settings. Okay, so we have done all the configuration, including even endpoint point of view also. So if I just go to endpoint manager point of view, if I just go to Windows by platform and look at the Windows enrollment, we also have here automatic enrollment is already configured. This is automatically enrollment is already configured, meaning it will
I've
automatically
taken a
enroll if
virtual
any
machine.
device
I'm gonna basically
that is
taking a
coming
virtual
here as
machine
a
too. If you see here,
Azure
there's
AD
nothing
joined.
actually. There's no other machine. There are
Okay,
only 5 machines are at
let's
this point of time.
go back
I
to
will be taking another virtual machine. Okay, this is one of the virtual machine. I would like to join this machine to the domain. So I'm just trying to join to the Active Directory, which is my local Active Directory, and that should automatically join even to on-premises Active Directory as well as to the Azure AD. Of course, how many of you like the errors? Definitely we get the errors, okay, because this is the first PC that we are trying to do, and in case if we missed out something, yeah, definitely errors are our friends. Face some of the issues also, that's okay, like time zone issues or such kind of things. So at the end, I'm just joining this machine. So I have just joined this, as you see here. It's just a plain build and join to the Active Directory, and I should be able to log in with my account like a user one at learninmylaptop or lab.com, all of that stuff, and automatically once I log in, I should be able to see in another 5 to 10 minutes automatically. If you see here dsrig cmd /status, that's the command which is going to tell you, but in this case it's not joined, right? So I'm just fast forwarding all of this stuff, but just to show you here, 76 error, that's an error which is actually always comes. And if you see here, it's failed because it is tried with a system account, right? It just tried with a system account. System tried to join with the system account, which is definitely is not going to work, all of that stuff. So that's good. And if you see here, there's no info button also, so that's another problem that we are facing, because it's not even joined to the Azure AD. Now what to be done? We just have to wait for a couple of minutes, because the scheduled task is going to try one more time with user credentials, so then it should be automatically joined. And let me fast forward for you all of this stuff and what are the troubleshooting pain points that I'm actually looking into it. You could watch it since if I try to show you,
which is a common over the internet. Uh, the inbox bad enrollment. Yeah, so after a few more minutes, I think it should happen. The schedule time is there is a scheduled task which will do all this stuff, which is I think 15 minutes or somewhat it will be there. I think so. It's 15 minutes. But just go to work specific. There's nothing there. So what I'll do is I'll do few things now. Okay, I'll pause here for this hybrid one. Okay, let it be at this stage. Okay, we'll not touch it, but we'll do the other configuration from Intune specific. One second, I think what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I'm trying to say here, the machine is not coming because it's not joined, as you see. The machine is not coming up, but you see here Windows hybrid in AD machine came, DC came. Yeah, this one machine came. Okay, so it takes some time. Will automatically come up as a hybrid AD join later point. Okay, so whatever we have configured, it is proper. Yeah, it's proper. So what we'll do is we'll try to configure a part of the co-management and we'll leave that machine as it is. Okay, and the later point we'll do the autopilot. Okay, with a combination of hybrid and standalone, whatever the scenarios you want, we can do that. Okay, we will try to do the CCM configuration for the co-management specific, and then we'll look into it other configurations as a high level to low level immediately. So this is the configuration side. So I'll just open up my CCM console. I think there's a client machine, right? So let me show some configuration in the DC. Since it's a domain controller, so if you see here, co-management is disabled currently on a client machine. Okay, uh, but it's just the anyway on a server machine you can't join it. But I'm just trying to show you the co-management is disabled state only currently. It should match. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so this also does not have SCCM client. So let's install the SCCM client on this machine. If everything is okay, I don't know. This is time is okay. Okay, so we will get the SCCM client in a minute or so, and in between we can continue with the co-management. So for the co-management, as we talked earlier, also the introduction side. So on a single device, you'll have the two management engines, one from Intune, other one from the SCCM client. So you can push from here or here the things. That's a co-management. And also you can set a, for the complaints point of view, you can set a meter that only take the preference as either Intune or from a SCCM point of view. So here also you can configure the device complaints policies, right? The baselines. So you can configure that baselines information uh, either take as a preference over the Intune or the SCCM. You can take the preference from Intune. You can do in a such a way for the complaints. Okay, so let's say you have here the application, sorry, complaints. You have here complaint settings, like you might have your CIEs as well as the baselines. If you created and applied any of the settings over this, if you want to take the control to Intune specific to our baselines that we created, or compliance policies. So I'm just referring to this compliance policies. So which one to take the preference, we can define within the co-management side. So is this to be taken or that? We can define it. So let's go to SCCM server and also work on the configuration side. So to configure that, you can actually go to the administration and the cloud settings. So you have the configuration for the co-management. I wanted to explain, some other thing also, my friend. Actually, within this, whatever the devices are there, these can be, as it is, can be uploaded to your MEM console. So currently, the devices are coming up only the devices that are from Intune specific or the cloud only. Right? This is the one machine. If you want to get more machines which are coming from SCCM also can be uploaded. This is called cloud attach. So before I talk on co-management, you also have a option called cloud attach. This is going to be the key for them to manage every device later point. That's why they started something called a cloud attach. So cloud attach is nothing but attaching all these devices information back to your SCCM, to your MEM console. Okay, so that's the thing. So now let's do one thing here. We will do the co-management configuration. So here, if you just go to administration and then cloud services, co-management, it will ask for few information. The first thing is definitely we need to know what tenant, the tenant specific global admin credentials to be given. Okay, and this is where it is asking for enable endpoint manager admin center, meaning the devices can be managed later point with the uploading option here. Okay, so we will definitely take the configuration here. Or just click on sign in. It will come up with the user ID. I'll just skip this. So it's gonna pull up the tenant ID information. So what's gonna happen is in a few more minutes, if you see here Azure AD tenant is not there, right? There's no tenant information. Okay, you're going to get the Azure services specific, all of that is going to come up automatically once we finish this visit. Okay, so you also have the enable automatic client enrollment for co-management, have this option. So I'll just say click on yes. Now it's going to ask us, do you want to upload all these devices data, all these devices to endpoint manager console, so that we can also manage from here the devices, like we can see the complaints, or we can see who's managed by, or the settings, or we can explore. Even if you remember, I think I have shown once the SCCM collection information, all of that stuff also we can see directly from here if you choose that specific option. Okay, so just say yes. This is for DA specific and analytic services. It doesn't matter for us. If you want, you can enable this. Now here it comes the co-management. Actual co-management is the web page is this. So from here it will start. So earlier one is a cloud attach, I would say. So from here the workloads will related to the co-management. So you have a couple of workloads. What is a workload is? Workload is a feature that you, where do you want to map it. So let's say if I uh, put it complaints policies. So in SCCM, where is the complaints policies? For us, it will be under complaint settings, baselines, right? We'll have the baselines. And these will be assigned for your devices. Similarly, from Intune point of view, the complaint settings are here. Okay, now When a device is in a co-management, which one you want to take a preference? Is it from SCCM or Intune? That's what it's going to talk. Okay, so for measuring, always we will go with the Intune. Why? You can ask, why. So the reason is, in a short, once we have done this, we are going to work with the Azure AD conditional access. So when we put a conditional access, we'll take the power of your on-premises. Let's say you have here devices that are fully managed from CCM, but now we made it as a co-management. Now, if this device is not enrolled or not compliant as per your company policies, we can stop accessing these devices to access the corporate data. So we can put such kind of conditions with the help of Azure Conditional Access. Okay, so let's go back to the complaints measure. Okay, this is for the device configuration. When we talk about the device configuration, so this is where if you have a device, you have the configuration profiles. Okay, these are the device configuration. So if you wanted that kind of configuration settings to apply, like we created like device restriction policies, all of that. So these settings, if you move it, it will work. Okay, and also similarly endpoint protection, resource access policies, and client applications, these are different things. So this is for Windows updates. So let's actually, if I move to the pilot, so I will actually prompt it here in a staging that specific complaints. Let's say here this was moved to the complaint specific. So for the time being, you can put it to a test collection where you can stage for some time and you can work on it as a pilot. Once everything is working fine, all the required policies has been configured, then you can move it to Intune. Okay, and similarly the rest of the collections also, if I just put it here, it will ask for all of them a different collections. See, but if I move here, whatever I move to the Intune, it is not asking for the collection. So you need to come up with the collections that can be temporarily worked. Okay, so so I moved everything to the Intune for now. Okay, now we'll say finish this. For this, you need to have the Azure premium license, at least a P1 for the co-management. That's one of the pre-requirement. Okay, so it takes some time to upload the cloud attached products or the devices to. So from the cloud services, you have an option to.
So the client agent settings are configured for the cloud attached also, especially the devices to join automatically. And on my client machine, I could see that co-management is already enabled on a client machine when we install the client, or on the machines that are pull the policies automatically enable the co-management capabilities. And also, if I just go to the start button and settings and then access work or scope, I could see that the info button, which indicates that my device is joined to MDM. Let me pull some of the policies because some policies are coming up, some policies are not coming up. So let's pull the policies.
Use record. So the software is also just now it's started coming up. Delay. This one is just came. Software is all of that. Now tell me, whatever we want to do it, we can do it now. Okay, all the testing can be done. Okay, since we have a client machine ready. Okay, so PowerShell script came from Intune. We have not done. So the hybrid AD is successful. The second topic which we talked. Okay. Other software is also coming. Okay. So now, this is what this is automatically coming up.
So is it getting the installation from Intune now?
Intune automatically. Yeah.
Yeah,
those
even
messages
the
are.
workload is still. Workload is
We
still
have
in
moved all
SCCM.
the workloads to Intune, I think, right?
Intune. Yes.
We have done it already. Okay.
Yeah, we Paddy
Yeah, we
moved all
moved
the
it.
sliders.
Yeah, moved it. Okay. Now from here we can, apply some kind of applications, okay, or some configurations and test it. I think here you also need to get it as the co-management as yes. It should be there. Yes, option should be there, and here if I refresh, the upload should success with more machines. So the device which is joined here, 2H21, is a co-managed workload. So if I just click on this device, I would get, okay, so device diagnostic and all of that should come. In a minute, it might come. Yeah, that is already there. But I'm talking about the only CCM specific devices. For example, the DC should come up here, the domain controller. Okay, because that has a SCCM client. Okay, this also should come up there. Okay, now the workloads you wanted to move to, where do you want to move? You tell me, I'll move it. We'll test it what you wanted. Sorry, actually, I didn't prepare the server fully. Yeah. I have to get the app, one app, add plus plus. Sorry about this. Yeah. Let me put it as local quickly. I'm just applying for every machine required ASAP basis. I think this is done. We'll go to my machine. So Adobe.
Let's try to refresh the application deployment cycle, and you could see here the application is coming up, which we just pushed the Notepad++. And this got pushed from SCCM, and that looks good. And now you should be able to notice one thing. On this co-managed device, you're able to deploy applications in two ways. One is from Intune as well as from SCCM. So this Notepad++ is coming from SCCM, and other applications which got installed on this machine came from Intune. So both the way it can be managed now. Now let's say I wanted to apply a conditional access policy to protect my on-premises device, because this is a hybrid AD joint machine which is coming from your on-premises, and I wanted to take the power of conditional access to apply a policy on these devices which are coming from on-premises also, if they are not compliant, just to stop the access for Azure applications or maybe cloud-based cloud-native applications. So that's what we are trying to do with the conditional access power. So let's try that demo. Since the applications are already installed, now let's have a look on from the mem console. If you just go here, and the device is currently into co-managed, and you could see here it's a complaint also. So this is a co-managed device, and also it's actually if you could see here, this is a co-managed here, and also it's complaint. And what we'll do is we'll try to disable a firewall, but of course this policy is actually applied, firewall enable policy was applied from group policy, so I cannot do it from here. And also if you look at my Microsoft Teams is not installed because I didn't push it, but I did push the Outlook. So let me configure the Outlook in one go. And once the Outlook is configured, I could open the mails, all of that stuff. But if you remember, we also tried single sign-on, meaning if I should be able to access any cloud native applications automatically without prompting the username. For example, as you see here, if I type as myapps.microsoft.com, it actually should automatically prompt. But in case, in my case, I don't have the MFA, that's why it was prompted. But otherwise, it just logged in with that existing token ID, right? That's a great news. And also if you see, Outlook also working fine without any problem. I should be able to send and receive emails, which is working fine. So once I make this machine's complaints to non-complaint, all this access should be stopped. How would I do? I could actually simply disable the firewall settings so that this because the policy was actually configured here, and the complaints policies, if you see here, within this you have the firewall as well as the real-time protection policies. So that's a defender settings. So these two settings were configured, right? So let's actually add one more policy. Let's say BitLocker to be required. So in this device there's no BitLocker, definitely. So on this device, actually on that testing machine, I don't have a BitLocker. So maybe in another few more minutes it becomes as a non-complaint, definitely, right? Also, if I want to disable the firewall, since the firewall settings were applied for my group policy, let me disable from my group policy just to test it. Okay, I'm not requesting you to do it from a domain level, but this is just a test case. Just wanted to show you. That's why I'm trying to show you. So this can be found from the security settings, and go to the network defender and the properties of that, and you can disable or the off or not configure, or whatever it is you want to configure. So that way it actually sets a policy. You should be able to run the group policy, that's a GP update force, to apply the policy, and then open up your firewall settings, and then you should be able to modify it on your own. For example, I would like to turn off now the policy for domain and private and public cases, and now everything is done, right? So here I'm just taking out that BitLocker specific setting, but I just wanted to ensure that this policy should apply. So what I can do, I can select the device and click on sync. So when I click on sync, if you just locate before syncing the timestamp which is showing last check-in time here, which is 1:30, right, 1:30, and if I just sync up, that timestamp will change to 33. So if I just refresh the console and go back to the same device, I should be able to see the timestamp as 33, right? That's the time, meaning the policy got synced, and in any point of time, it actually the device should become as a non-compliant. The next important thing is how to create conditional access policy. You could actually do it from different places. Let me show you that.
portal.azure.com, and from here you can create it, or you can also do it from other place, which is, this is the Azure AD one. From here you can do it, or you can go to Endpoint Manager Admin Center. Within this endpoint security, if I correctly remember, you also have here conditional access options. Okay, so this blade is equal into the blade that we are going to open in Azure AD. So from Azure AD point of view, you can go to the security, I lost my site now. Security. Okay, so this conditional access, this is it. So here the blade and this blade is one and the same. So you can configure if you have the permissions as the, if you are the global admin, then only you can do these conditional access. Otherwise, you have to explicitly give the RBAC permissions on your account. So I will be actually going to create here. By default, what will happen is there is a if you the tenant that you created will have a default security options configured from Microsoft by default. So that will not allow you to create the conditional access unless you go and disable that specific settings from a properties. So from here, properties to be disabled. Let's say if I don't done that step, this is the first time only. So by this time in your company, if you have a conditional access policy, you no need to do this step, the which I'm going to show here from a properties. I'm not going to show now, but if I try to create here, it's going to give me a warning, which I'm talking about properties one in a minute. So if you see, if I just clicked on new policy, it is actually giving me it looks you're able to manage your organization security not by Microsoft, okay, because with the help of conditional access. So you must have to first disable the security defaults. So this is only for the customers. They never created any conditional access. If they have already created conditional access policies as shown here, you just have to go to the properties, manage security defaults and click on yes. That would change the settings and it will give you the permissions for conditional access. Okay, so let's do that configuration for the first time. So I'll just go to the properties. Okay, in the down, you have a manage security from no to, because we are using conditional access. Okay, this is just to, Microsoft by default, they put on all the tenants some restrictions so that their organization are fully secured from a unauthorized access. So that's where they are coming up from a security. Now I should be able to go to conditional access. I can create a new policy. As I said earlier, you can create from here or directly from the endpoint security center. If you're confusing from here, let's do it directly from here now. Security, endpoint security, and conditional access. Same thing. So new policy I'm going to create. Whatever the policy like, secure devices example. This is a policy name. So policy can be applied with these conditions, okay, and these controls. Controls or access, whether you want to grant or not. What is that condition? What is that application? Who are the users? Okay, and finally, are you going to apply this policy or just to report only or turning off the policy? And also there is a very good tool if you're coming from Azure AD background, by this time what if. So always I would like to test my policies with a what if, because I really don't know if a user coming from maybe Australia, in that case what would happen, I don't know whether its policy is affected or not. Or if I take my user says that is not able to access, might be a true or might not be. So we can validate with what if condition here. So let's first create the policy, then we will go to the what if condition. So first thing, in a new policies you can select the users. So it's always good to create a group based. Okay, so always the best practices are 2 points. One is never apply the policy to you. Whatever you're trying to create, exclude from yourself. Exclude always from yourself. That's the best practice, because you are the global admin. If yourself you are self-locked for some reason, then it's only Microsoft will help. Okay, nobody can help, and that takes a lot of time. They have close to somewhere 12 hours to 24 hours SLA for that kind of problems. And second thing is always apply for a group, not to the users. Create a group explicitly assign. Okay, so in our case we will be applying to a group here. Then it's going to ask us what is that group. So I think I should apply for, who's this user? This is a user one. So okay, we'll first apply the app protection policy, or maybe we'll create a group. Maybe let's do that, a group creation, easy, so that not missing. Adding the user, what was the user? I think user one. Create. So a conditional access group. So we have applied for the group. Always try to, in case if you're part of this group, please exclude yourself also. Otherwise, this will be a bigger problem later point because nobody is there to help you, because you will be the global admin. Now it comes to the cloud applications. So there are a few applications that are listed here. Okay. Example, cloud applications. So here all the cloud applications, meaning this list of applications that were given by Microsoft. So these all are considered as the cloud applications. Okay. So in this, any of the applications, if the user is trying to access, is a condition that we are going to set it. So I'm just applying all cloud applications. In this case, I'm not excluding. Then condition. So here it comes a condition. Let's say if you're the Azure admin, you would be actually creating, or maybe if you're Azure AD admin, you would be creating trusted locations. Let's say your back office or office network locations you would be creating here, that will be considered as the trusted location. So the users coming from this location, no need to apply a condition policy. But such things you can recall it. This is called locations. You can specify the location, subnet, IP range, all of that. So in our case, the conditions are usually is a risky. So a risky usually is user signs in very frequently from a different devices. Maybe a user is a risky user all the time. Okay, that's how they define. This is something called risky sign-in. Sign-in risk is different from a user risk. In sign-in is like, example, there's a X user just logged in from London, and next half an hour he's coming from Dubai, and later maybe from Australia. So this cannot happen in a real world. Practically, it shouldn't. It can't happen because he has to he can't even travel, right, from London to Dubai to Australia. So it would be a sign-in risk. So he might be using a VPN. Then you have to ask the user to self-challenge whether he's a real user. Okay, because if a password compromise, also if the password was uploaded maybe in the internet into somewhere in a password database, they might be logging in. So that's considered the sign-in risk. Then we would be challenging with a multi-factor authentication, all of that on an access control level. Okay, but for now, this is not the case. And this is a device platform. So what is a device that user is coming? Let's say if a user is coming from a Windows device or maybe Android or iOS. So here you can specify. Let's say if my user coming from any location on any device, I can say any device. Let's say if I want to just explicitly apply for this a case for only Windows, I can choose it. So in my case, I'm just saying whoever part of this AD group on any device. That's what I'm trying. And the location, as I said earlier, you can any location you can put it, any location, or just a trusted location you can specify. And client application. So if the user trying maybe the applications, cloud application, whatever the application, maybe from browser or any other. Give me a second, please. So my friends, I was talking about the client applications. So these client applications, if the user is coming or trying to access from where? So if he's coming from anywhere, like, you know, if you want to see from anywhere, like a browser or anywhere, why we are talking about anywhere is you will come to know now here. You see here device state. Okay, the device state. You can not this, this one, access control, right? So within the access control, we can say that if the device must be compliant. Okay, so yeah, there's a relation between Azure AD is the key here. Earlier, if we don't learn Active Directory also we can work, but now Azure AD is the key. It became as our identity. So within this Azure AD, now it says that from Intune, the device must be marked as a complaint. Now, what would happen if the device is not complaint? Definitely, the device it will not be a part of complaints point of view. Then what will happen? We will consider to stop the access. Okay, here grant or block. We can block the access if the device is not into the complaint, or if everything needs to be allowed, the device must be complaint in other way. Okay, and also we can challenge the user to have the multi-factor authentication also. So if you're validating more than one conditions, then you have this radio button says that, hey, one of them if you're okay, or you want to validate all the settings that are in the above checkbox. So you can force the user to change the password. Let's say if the user is coming from a different place, you can do that configuration. So that's how it's gonna work. Okay, so in our case, we wanted to validate multi-factor authentication as well as the marking the device should be a complaint state, and two things should be configured. So all these days with for all the users, we have been actually skipping multi-factor authentication, but now it can't be done anymore. If you put it this, click on OK. Now you can enable this policy, or you can off it. So people will recommend always go with the beginning with the read only, and then choose the condition with the what if, and then you can find out what will happen. So in our case, we are sure that it's going to work. I'm just choosing as a create. Okay, now once this policy is created, I can choose here from a what if condition. So I'll be selecting a user called Bob example, let's say, and also I'll take the user as Logan. No, I think user one, right? Yeah, user one. Okay, let's take first, maybe, yeah, let's take user one first and see any cloud application. Maybe he's coming from any of the IP address or region. You can specify the country specific, and the device is maybe he's coming from a example Windows device. And the client application, it can be any of the application, or maybe from a browser example. And the device state is in a device state is either it is a hybrid AD joint or complaint. So device marked as a complaint, then sign-in risk is no, user risk is no. What would happen? So it will show that the policy is applying this specific policy. Okay, so policies that are not going to apply, it will be showing. For example, if I change here the username, it will be showing that. But this is a side story. But let's go back to our endpoint manager, to the devices.
That being said, we will be closing here the part 6, and if you have any questions from any of these parts, please do comment here by posting your questions. I'm happy to answer them, at least whenever I get a time. I will definitely help you out, and make sure that you also check out the other lecture which I have talked about the designing part. So if you are getting any new project, or if you want to implement in your company, from where to start, what kind of due diligence data to be collected and implemented, all of that planning section was ready to download as a template for you is available. And also I already talked about how to design as an in-depth. So please do check out those lectures which are within this video description, which talks about the planning and designing to become as a Intune architect. And that being said, I'll close up here. Thank you for watching this. Please like and share and comment your questions. I'm happy to answer, as I said. Thank you.